So it is 12:15. And so I'm going to hop on and let's just talk about the goals and objectives for this week, which essentially is going to be understanding how to set up your care plan. So some of you have already had sessions with me, some of you may be working through things, but ideally, what we want to be thinking about is how can we take the information from our labs? How can we take information from our surveys, like the thyroid symptom survey, the hormone imbalance identifier, and start to put it all together so that A, it's not overwhelming, B, it's sustainable, but also C, it's actionable and it's getting you results. So I'm going to run through a couple of examples with you all in regards to how we do that. I'm going to pull up the presentation that is attached with this just to kind of highlight a couple of key things to share with you as you are working through your care plans and just starting to think about things that you can start doing in this moment this week that will help with ensuring that you are on the right track. So first and foremost, when it comes to creating care plans, you just need to have a strategy, right? Like once you have a strategy, you really can nail down a lot of things. And so just a couple things that I wanted to point out in regards to this week's module and this week's activity. So when it comes to your care plan, it needs to be sustainable. Okay. And when I say perfect plan, I'm really referring to how sustainable is it? Can you see yourself doing this for the next 6 months, the next 12 months, the next 6 years? And if the answer at any point in time is absolutely not, heck no, it's not sustainable. Now, the other thing too is with care plans, when I am creating them for patients, is it has to work for where you are in your wellness journey. Now, some of you might have already gotten labs that show multiple things being off, but here's the thing, we can only tackle so many things at once. So we have to take a look and take a step back and what are the biggest issues that you're dealing with, right? If you could today pay somebody money to get you results tomorrow, what would be those big three things? Okay. Again, many of us have had these hormone imbalances, nutrient deficiencies, mineral deficiencies, and imbalances for quite some time. So it's also important that we are doing things in a staggered, staged approach. Okay. The best plan is going to be one that you can stick with, even when things are crazy and life is lifing. Right. So when you're traveling all the time, you're going to the shore, family members are over, children are in all the sports. What is it that you can still do with your plan that can be sustainable and that you can execute? And one thing I will say is when it comes to my patients and protocols, I always say I don't want perfection with you executing your plan, but what I want is consistency. And so once you have consistency, that is going to be key. Consistency means that not everything on your plan is done every single day 100%, but consistency means that, and you'll see in the couple of boxes that I'm going to show you, consistency means that out of all of your 6 home and lifestyle recommendations, you do 2 on the regular. Without hesitation. Consistency means that when it comes to your diet and nutrition, you are able to at least get 3 meals in every single day. Okay, things of that nature. So with that being said, I want us to just talk about where do we even start. And again, I talked about this in the recording for today. It's take apart what goes really well for you currently. Like, what are you doing in your current day to day that really makes you feel good? If that is going to strong mom workouts, then that needs to already put on your care plan. If that is walking on your treadmill, then that needs to go on there. If it is, I don't know, going to Wegmans and getting a rotisserie chicken, and because that keeps you consistent, then do that. So what has worked really well for you that you're able to maintain? Is it taking a multivitamin every day, etc.? Anything that feels like it has not been able to be consistent or continue or keep up or daunting, just don't even think about it. Put it to the side because many of us are depleted, frazzled, and burnt. And so we don't need to overwhelm ourselves. Okay. So let's just, again, I want to spend most of this time talking about how we can go a little bit deeper. So I've given you all the different categories. And so I'm just going to go straight to the end here. So this is really what your care plan is going to be looking like. So you're going to use the template, and I want you to start jotting down what are some things under the home and lifestyle category that I gave you examples of that you can start implementing. Okay. So I'm going to give the example. Let's just say you are someone who is struggling with fatigue is like the number one thing. Okay. So for anyone who's dealing with fatigue, what I want you to think about is, well, in order to not feel fatigued, I need to have really good sleep quality. So we're going to work a little bit backwards here. So that means let's take a look and see what sleep hygiene looks like. Okay. So let's pull up, let's stop this. So we're going to work through this, right? So let's just say sleep is a big issue. Fatigue is a really big issue for you. So fatigue is a really big issue. Then you are going to, right? We're going to be addressing fatigue. That is awful writing, but you get the gist. If we're working towards fatigue, then we're going to think about step by step, what can we be doing? So in regards to the home and lifestyle recommendations, the very first thing I would think of is going to be sleep hygiene, right? And so you're going to start thinking, again, working backwards, what does my sleep hygiene look like? What time am I getting to bed? Lots of research shows that consistent bedtime is going to be helpful when it comes to maintaining healthy sleep cycles, circadian rhythm, cortisol levels. So the first thing I think of when it comes to fatigue and sleep hygiene is consistent bedtime. And so consistency means 7 days throughout the week, 5 to 6 of those days you were getting to bed by this time. So the goal really is 7 to 9 hours of sleep. That's the goal. So again, work backwards. If you know that you get up at 6 a.m., then you need to be, again, to get 7 hours, you need to be sleeping at least by 11. Okay. If you're closer to like, you know that you need 8 to 9 hours, then you're going to work backwards and maybe you get to bed by 10, maybe 9:30. Okay. If you struggle with, falling asleep, right? And then we know that that's contributing to fatigue as you toss and turn, you're going to power down devices. Now, some people get really extreme with this, and I've read different people's takes on this, whether it's therapists or health coaches or life coaches, and they'll be like, put your phone in a different room. That's not my vibe, but if that's your ministry, love that for you. The powering down your device can be really key. Powering down device, adjust screen lighting, brightness, etc. Those can all be really great tips. And to take a step further, powering down your device at least 90 minutes before bedtime. See how we're building this plan? So again, it's not just I need to get to bed, I need to be in bed, I need to sleep every night. It's okay, I'm going to get to bed, I'm going to power down my device, I'm going to turn down the brightness on my phone, I'm going to put a screen filter on so it's a warmer color. If you struggle with fatigue, sleeplessness, restlessness, you're crashing, sleep should be, again, one of the pillars that we talked about. Sleep needs to be on there. If you have no issues with sleep, you fall asleep, stay asleep, you wake up feeling refreshed, you can ignore all of this. But for many people, and many of the people that we've been working with, sleep is something that needs to be prioritized. Okay. All right. So with that being said, that's the sleep aspect. That's at least 90 minutes before bedtime. Other things you can be doing could be maybe heart cherry juice. Okay. Maybe you do topical magnesium. I could go on and on. Maybe you take passion flower glycerin. You do not have to do all of these things. Okay. It's again about being simple, easy. What can you manage and what can be easy for you? Maybe you start with just setting a consistent bedtime. Maybe you start with just the topical magnesium. That could be one area to start with. Other things under home and lifestyle that I would consider to be important if you're dealing with fatigue and tired is going to be ensuring that we get outdoor time. We need to be outside in nature. So spend at least 15 minutes, 15 minutes outdoors daily. Okay. Being outdoors helps with resetting cortisol. So we're not spiking up and down, crashing. Being outdoors helps with energy. Other things I think of for fatigue, right? Maybe you want to do exercise and put that into your care plan and protocol. Now, this is where exercise gets a little bit tricky. If you're someone who has a lower cortisol pattern, where you're more like chronic burnout, chronic fatigue, then you're going to want to focus more on low intensity, steady state training. If you're someone who has pretty healthy cortisol levels, then you can go full throttle, high intensity. You can do your runs, you can do whatever feels good in your heart and your soul. Okay. So that could be another thing for fatigue that I would think of in terms of home and lifestyle. The other thing I think of for home and lifestyle is hydration. I can't tell you how many times people come back into my office for follow-up visits and they're like, oh my gosh, I have more energy. And all I've been doing consistently is drinking more water. So the golden rule of thumb is half your body weight in ounces. If you're like, OMG, that's a lot of water and I'm not even there yet, then don't fret. Again, this is sustainable. We're not just about here to just go full throttle. If you are not fully at half your body weight in ounces, you are going to slowly increase it over the coming weeks. So I will actually put on people's care plan, slowly increase over the coming weeks. Start by adding 8 ounces every week. Okay. Use electrolytes until you hit your daily goal. Okay. Reminder, you need to be drinking 8 ounces of water for every 15 minutes of exercise. Okay, so these are going to be things that you are going to want to keep in mind and be aware of. And these are, again, these are things that can start to build out your home and lifestyle recommendations. We don't need to do every single one of these things, but when I think of fatigue, these would be some of the things that I think of. Other things that I'm going to always encourage, and if you noticed, the one thing that's on the care plan that doesn't change is the self-care. That is a non-negotiable in my book. You need to be doing self-care. And so self-care is not exercise. They're two different things. Self-care is going to be journaling, meditating, reading, making sure you actually chew your food, self-care. Okay. So those could all be things that you can start doing to support fatigue in terms of the home. And then we go on to diet. So now this can be, again, an area where we work on a little bit more. So for example, if you got blood work done and it shows that you are insulin resistant or you have some dysregulated blood sugar levels, I would recommend an insulin resistance protocol. Okay. Where you are pairing all carbs, including fruit, with a lean protein. Okay. And this is where I take the opportunity to ask, what is a lean protein, right? Nuts are not a lean protein. Hate to break it to you. They're just not a lean protein. Beans are not a lean protein either. Lean protein, chicken, cottage cheese, egg whites, Greek yogurt, plain Greek yogurt, steak, venison, lamb, lean cuts. Those are going to be lean sources of protein. So you want to pair, and pair. Okay. And that's how we're going to do it. Other things that you might want to consider doing maybe is a mini elimination protocol. Maybe you look into mini elimination. Maybe that's a protocol that you consider, right? And that could be maybe an AIP or maybe Whole30 or paleo for an extended period of time. Okay. Other general things when it comes to diet is eating at regular intervals. I don't know why many of us don't do this because of crazy day-to-day lifestyle, right? But we're seeing how we're building here, eating at regular intervals. I can't spell. Veggie intake. Most of us are pretty good with fruits. We don't get veggies. 2 to 6 cups is pretty much the recommended. Okay. Eating all meals, eating last meal at least 3 hours before bedtime. So we see how we build here. Okay. So now we've got some home stuff going on here. We're supporting diet, and then we can address the supplements. Now, again, this is going to be very much individualized, but what we're going to want to look at is going to be, I think of, again, energy and fatigue. If you're like, where in the world do I start? B complex is always going to be great. Okay. Why B complex? Because they're going to be key for making ATP, which is your body cell currency. Other favorites that I like are MitoCore. I like Mito NRG. You can even do even just a good quality multivitamin, right? That could also be helpful for energy. If your energy is due to blood sugar, then you can add things on like chromium. You can add things on like CM Core, okay? Blood sugar support. If low energy is found to be because of a specific nutrient deficiency, maybe it's iron, then you can add on iron. If your B12 is low, maybe you add just B12. If it's due to cortisol, then you can add in things like adaptogens, and I'll talk about that separately in a completely different video. And before you know it, you now have a protocol, you have your own care plan geared towards adjusting and addressing your fatigue. Okay. Now let's just say the issue that you're looking to deal with is going to be something else like hormones. Same idea, right? We could talk about home and lifestyle. So, are you getting the self care? Sweating is going to be a great way to detox and support estrogen clearance. So that's exercise. Maybe you go into a sauna a couple times a week. Hydration should always be on there. Maybe you start to clean up your home environment in terms of toxins and chemicals that you were using. All right. So, take a step back, take a look at your hormone identifier, take a look at your hormone identifier. Where do most of your symptoms fall? Is everything pretty much ovarian health? If so, then you're going to want to focus on exercise, detox pathways, castor oil packs, right? Those are a lot of the home recommendations out of there. In terms of diet, you're going to want to eat more of a whole food diet. So maybe it's Whole30, maybe it's paleo, maybe it's Mediterranean. Okay. If you are more so adrenals, then this is, we're going to talk a lot more blood sugar control. So insulin resistance, we're going to be moving our body, going for walks after eating. If it's thyroid and you're having afternoon energy crashes, again, we're going to want to stabilize blood sugar, but we're going to also want to take a look at things like adrenals health as well. So hopefully that made sense. If you have any questions at the end of this, please just, to do either leave a comment, send me a message. But that's how you're going to start creating your perfect cure plan. So my challenge to you this week is, can you start to create a draft and then send it to me and see what it looks like? And I'd love to give you feedback on it. All right. Hopefully that made sense. Take care and be well. Bye, everyone.